These chairs are uncomfortable, I saw.
Okay, so I just want to, it's basically just a talk story, because one of the first things that I acknowledge is off about this whole Aupuni and all this kind of stuff. One, it's being fast forward, it's being rushed, and there's very limited education out there. You know, for a group that received $3 million, they've done a very poor job of educating the community of what this is. So there's this big push and rush effort into this thing. So for me, no matter where your stance is about it, that's one of the first things we can all agree upon, that it's rushed and there's very limited education on what's going on. And so I know for me, right after the list of delegates were released, I got flooded with questions by so many people asking, what is Mangauil? What is Aupuni? So many people don't even know the basics of what's going on. And that, you can see, is really attributed to all the way back in the history of these roll commissions, in which some people, you know, it's just like at a festival or something. People do, oh yeah, I'm going to join in. It's like in one, you know, it's not really something that's stuck with many people. Or there's, as we know, as we hear a lot of that mixed stories in history of people not even knowing how their names got on the list. I'm one of them. I don't know how my name got on the list, but I went and looked it up, and I'm on the list. So there's actually a number you can call, and they can tell you when you were signed up. So apparently in 2008, my name got on the list. I'm trying to dig into the depths of my memory to try to remember how the heck, because I remember back then I was like, oh, Honoka'a was like, it's all about, you know, no sign nothing, you don't know what it is. So for myself, unknowingly, the only thing I can think about is when I used to work at our Hauanio youth center here, we applied for a grant one year there for Hawaiian students and stuff, and I was the acting teacher. I think that's how they got my name. It's the only thing I can think of, because I do not remember signing on. So for me, it's really realizing how much of our community is really unaware of what's going on. Our Hawaiian community, who really know what's going on. And even the community of the 99,000 people on the roll don't even know that they're on a roll, don't even know what it is. So for me, I'm trying to go back to that, and I try to myself talk, or just put my feelers out, inviting people to this meeting. We're like, I don't even know what that is. Why don't I go to meetings? Like, that's why you need to come to a meeting, so you can understand. If not, your name is used. That's part of the thing. So we have a few other people running delegates right now. So could you guys introduce yourselves? Introduce who else is running.
Oh, hello everybody. My name is Hauanio. Hey, you slide.
I guess what I should say is a lot of people call me Uncle Ching, but on the list I'm Clarence Ching. So, well, most of you guys know what I do.
And my thing came out as Joshua Mangauil with no picture.
Yeah.
I don't know. One thing, no picture, and you just put Joshua. Most people don't know who Joshua is.
Exactly.
Out there. That's probably why. Yeah. And so, coming in, I know there's Kukakuka. There's many different opinions, many different people at different levels of education when it comes to what this matter is about. And so I just want to reiterate to everybody just to be open to listening to everybody, and just, you know, that kapu aloha, because there's different perspectives and stuff. And even those of us who I know who are running as delegates that are in this room, I'm not to speak for. For myself, I'm open to listen. I have kind of my own heart's desire for what I want to see, what I feel from my people, where we should move forward. But I will say too that I'm also on the fence of this Aupuni. I actually we're openly running in a defense mode to try and help to defend our people, but from what could be coming out of this Aupuni. And I'm still watching it very closely to see if that's a proper place to stand guard from, within or on the outskirts. That's what more information will help to guide us all on what to do. So I just wanted to kind of run down this list of particular things that we've always had worries on, and general questions that I'm getting asked, and then pose it to you if you've had that same question, or if you have a different answer or something. And a little bit of a timeline for us all. And this is kind of some of the research that I've done, looking back at things. And again, too, I'm young in a lot of it too. And a lot of you guys have been in this for a long time, but so we have multiple different perspectives coming in. So I wanted to kind of revert back to the origins of our kingdom. We all, is everyone in the room here now familiar with Hawaiian history and how we lost our kingdom?
Aye.
That's how much I want to go back. We only have 2 hours. So try to see how much is I kind of know, and then get a little more. But we know, in a nutshell, we all know our Hawaiian kingdom was illegally overthrown. No annexation did take place. There was a joint resolution on behalf of Congress of the United States of another country just saying we're going to take this place. Can't do that. And so I think we're all kind of in agreement with how that process went down and how it still stands today legally. The United States technically still being here under a military occupation. They came into Hawaii. They ended up really coming in full strong in here to occupy this space during the Spanish-American War. And under the rules of war, sometimes the greater bodies can take over land places to help them in the war. But when the war is done, you leave. They've never left. So technically, are they saying that the Spanish-American War is still going? Over 100 years later. So just that's some of the history so we understand this. And so then we just look into the history of our people for a long time, being cast down in society, the minority. It's the same story as many indigenous people around the world have suffered the same kind of things. And in some ways, we have not even suffered to the level of some of our Native brothers and sisters. We weren't, I just posted something today, they're honoring the California tribes who the state of California would pay people 50 cents to bring in a dead Indian scalp. So we never faced that kind of level of genocide, but still, it was a different process of genocide. And so for many years, we fought for equal rights and such. And eventually, in the 70s, there was the movement to push for some sort of Hawaiian governing entity, or an entity to represent the people, and that's when OHA was formed, Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Its origins, as I see, its origins came from a good place. OHA was created by our people, for our people. And I think history just goes to show that it's been kind of hijacked. That's the process. We had something coming for our people to be able to have a place to speak from within and under this oppressing governing body, but it got all leading into the same process. And so the history of OHA is
Can you say something about that?
I'll go ahead.
Okay, from my perspective, OHA was put together to represent Hawaiians, and sort of like the Hawaiian Homes Act for the betterment of Hawaiians, to seek sovereignty. This isn't really pushed too much, and to act as a conduit for resources. But the problems that Lanakila is bringing up is really, I hate to tell you guys, it's our fault. Okay, when I was in OHA, I spent 4 years as a trustee in OHA, 1986 to 1990. At that time, believe it or not, OHA was pro-sovereignty, pro-kingdom, pro-independence. Since then, people have put in trustees that have changed the whole outlook of OHA, so that now, for the last 10, 15 years, it's been pro-Honoka'a bill, pro-federal recognition, pro all that kind of stuff. And Aupuni is a product of that kind of thinking. So, just a little background from my perspective.
Yeah, I'm just offering a timeline again. Yeah, if you have anything to add into it, I'm just kind of giving us a run through. So as I see, so OHA that was done. During the con of what year was that? 78. I know when it comes to managing resources, OHA did put in to be able to have a percentage of Hawaiian crown lands, what they call ceded lands, revenues. And eventually it was negotiated to a number of 20%. 20%, and that's what is in the Constitution as of now. 20% of all ceded land revenues is supposed to be coming to OHA, Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Through some history, there was a conflict, especially with the Cayetano administration, or there was a big conflict too of deciding what the percentage of what money. So they were chopping up the revenue to say, well, it's not 20% of all the revenue, because we got to use this money for this and this and this, so it's only 20% of this much of the revenue. So there was all that kind of conflict that was going on that's still somewhat unclear. But what did take place then is eventually the Cayetano administration, he was kind of against it and actually paid $0 under, I think, 2 years of his administration. It was zero money given to them. So,
And it was continued by the lingo.
and it was continued by the lingo, and then there was, a deal made. Yeah? And in that deal that was made, I think that was under Aupuni, the securement of $15.1 million a year. So there was a cap set. So at least we got some money back, but it's not the 20%. At $15.1 million a year, that's what now OHA receives. And since that time, it's just continued on as if that's the norm.
And it should be more.
It should be more, but I think, as I heard, they are actually doing some, I always forget that word. You go in your store and you tally up what you have.
Audit.
An audit. I forget that word. They've done an audit of the ceded lands and the revenues, and they are looking, as I heard, the number should be more, anywhere between $35 and $50 million a year. We should be receiving.
Quick question. So you mentioned the 20% was in the Constitution. Is that still
Well,
there?
it was negotiated.
Legislated.
Oh, just legislative. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But based on the 78
Yeah.
Constitution amendment that created OHA.
Okay.
Right. So the figure was kind of came up later on after the contract, but it's part of that. So I do know as of right now, OHA is looking at lifting that cap. So I'm kind of telling that backstory just to kind of understand that OHA does play a role in this. But also one thing for me that we have to pay attention. One thing right off the bat is a lot of times we say OHA's funding, the state is funding. OHA's money is crown money. That is our monies. It gets, I would say, you could say it gets tainted in the sense that it passes through a state process.
Wait, I hate to be talking too much, but
No. But that's what we do for.
OHA, 20%, right? Wow, okay. Of all the lands that the state owns, about 98% is ceded lands. They're Hawaiian lands. So actually what they're doing is stolen Hawaiian lands, and they're using it and letting us have a part of the 20% back.
Right.
Under the 5F, yeah.
It's not here.
Was that?
Under the 5F Plaza Divisions Act, there are 5 recipients, Hawaiian being one in particular. That's how we get the 20% per rata share.
So, in that act, so just to give an idea of how much revenue OHA technically is supposed to be managing. And I talk about this because that's part of this process too. Understand that OHA, in pushing for some sort of governance, they're wiping themselves out. Because whatever form of governance comes out or that we come up with, no matter what it is, whether it be independence, if it's some empire that we create, whatever that we come up to decide or restoring our kingdom, OHA is to dissolve and all of its powers and assets goes to that new entity. That's as it's laid out. That's the process. So, for some time, that's why technically OHA was created to help Hawaiians create our government. And so Uncle Shia shared back in the 80s, it was very strong, and into the 90s, supporting sovereignty, our independence, the restoration of our kingdom. And then, again, by either not paying attention to the voting and stuff, we end up getting other people in there which are more different perspectives. And so currently, right now, for a number of years, OHA pushes federal recognition, which is nation within a nation under the United States.
Yeah, and now the pendulum is starting to swing back.
Yeah.
And if we're smart, we can keep that lottery going and
Keep it swinging.
coming back.
So technically, the Na'i Aupuni process, in my perspective, is not an odd thing for OHA to be doing. It's supposed to be trying to create forums or something for Hawaiians to be able to get our come up with something. So for myself, looking at Na'i Aupuni, when you hear the call that it's being funded by the state, in a way we can see there's an influence because the state, the ceded land, the money is transferred to the state, but that truly is our money. That's our kingdom money. Yeah, so it's funded by our lands, the revenues
But
of
not
our lands.
directly to
Not directly, and that's where the tainting comes in.
What actually happened was the state went legislate Act 195 that created all the stuff and said, OHA, you gotta fund it. And OHA went, okay. And that's what we got now.
Right. So, the roles. Yeah, just going back, and again, this is me as a young Hawaiian learning on these things, so, and we're here just to hear as much information on these things as we can. The roles, as I know, was originally created to create a registry of Hawaiians, to get a count of the number of living Hawaiians that technically OHA surveyed. Am I correct? Do you agree on that?
The first one.
That was its original purpose,
So
right?
the role commission was to account for all of the Hawaiians that wanted to participate in the process that would establish some form of government, and they laid out 3 forms. Was an independent, I'll give you the material.
I think the quick note too. Sometimes the big words are like,
Yeah, so there's totally independence like that of student Hawaii. The other one was nation within the nation, like Native Americans, and then the other one was state within the state. So what that state within the state looks like is exactly what we have here. The Honoka'a bill did not pass, so the state created a state within the state relationship. That's what it says.
But Kauinoa was only a registry to find out how many people claim to be Hawaiian, right? I don't think that there was...
I know there's a legal question that's been going around in our community, and I'm going to leave that in the courts. All I know is somehow somebody decided to use people's names and compile them into this process. That's what I do.
okay, so that's exactly what the one thing I wanted to see. So I think what the Lahui knows and was told, that's what I was saying, what we were told and then what they were actually doing is very important so we can see. We were told it was just a registry, just to get a number of the population of Hawaiians. And then there was a tap-on of taking these roles to basically to go for a process. And then, what was that the first roll call? The first one?
Kauinoa.
Wasn't there one before Kauinoa?
No, there's several efforts and
There's
never
several.
Kauinoa.
But Kauinoa was the one that...
That was the first one that really got going. So that was a fresh start.
If you want to go back, you in Kalawai can probably.
We can go back to 8
There's a lot of different organizations.
So those ones who started roles, so they weren't absorbed into Kauinoa when it started.
No.
So Kauinoa started fresh.
Yes.
Okay, good to know. And with Kauinoa, then eventually that.
Sorry.
Yep.
Actually, OHA tried doing like
The
Project
registration.
Ohana
Yes, yes.
back in the 1980s.
Yeah.
And that's how come I got all this stupid, all this.
Yeah.
Project Ohana. That was a role.
And I will roll.
Well, from my understanding is because our kids wanted to through a process to get our children into commandment schools, OHA decided to assist in that, in having a process where the documentation is with OHA's office, and then they issue you a card. So when you go out, when our kids go out watch any kind of Hawaiian program, Aulite, blah,
Instead of having to
blah,
fill
blah,
out every single
yeah.
different.
boom, it's one place and it's done.
It was
And they were
original.
gonna get us all in
Yep.
the database
Yep.
and find out that we're all related. And we are.
Right.
But then somebody decided they're gonna use this stuff for other purposes.
Yeah.
That's where the thing went.
So that's another thing, where the original intent was Maika'i. But then it got hijacked. Our names, the names of our kupuna and everybody got hijacked for another function. And I know the first one that in my time that I remember was taking the names to apply it, they were all in support of the Akaka. Was there another one prior that they tried to use it? That's the one, that's the main one, Akaka bill, which was a push for federal recognition. So that's where our people lose faith in the role. And we cannot trust the role now because of that action.
And we cannot trust these politicians either, because in 2006, a couple of us guys went to Washington and all that. They were going to do the cloture vote in the Senate on the Akaka bill, if you guys remember right. Anyway, the story from our politicians, Inoue and Akaka, and the guys in the House was, are all the Hawaiians for the Akaka bill? Yes. We went back there, and they found out that there were Hawaiians, live Hawaiians, who were against the Honoka'a bill. And then when we were there for that thing, Hui Pu took over the palace. And said, well, hey, there's some more Hawaiians against it. There are lots of Hawaiians against the Honoka'a bill. The senators back there didn't know that. They were told just the opposite.
Sound familiar?
Yep.
What the DOI just announced? So the Department of Interior just announced this. That was kind of down my list. I wasn't going to get that later. But now it's the exact same story happening again. The Department of Interior basically oversees Native Americans and Indian affairs on the continent. When they were here last summer, was that last summer?
Yeah.
And they went around and heard, it was pretty much 95% of the oral testimonies, in fact, were against federal recognition.
All disappeared.
99%.
99%!
21% was
All
going
they took was the
Yeah.
ones that wrote.
And so now,
They didn't take
what the DOI just announced too is that they're not acknowledging the oral testimonies. And they're only acknowledging the written testimonies. And according to them, which the only eyes that see it, Hawaiians support federal recognition, or an overwhelming majority. You're right. So, okay, that was down here. But so, for me, just understanding the role. We see now the history of the role and understand, like OHA, similar, or origins, pono, hijack, turn down. So this is one of the big things that we're dealing with right now when it comes to Aupuni. Do we sign our names to this role? Do we not sign our names to this role? So in understanding that, there's some claims that I just want to put to some people of relaxation. Signing up on the role, now, all political minds in here, help me on this one. This is one of the things out there. If you sign your name, you're giving up your right of sovereignty. Is that true?
It is true.
How does it say
It
that?
is.
How are we
It is.
doing that?
It is so.
Where does it say
Yeah.
that? Because when I signed up, I have my copy. When I signed up, it does not relinquish any other claims that I may have against the United States, royal claims.
Technically, you can take your name off. So I'm really, this is the kind of stuff we gotta, for me, to figure out, like, what's the facts? So what's, yeah.
Kana'iolowalu, when they put it in that ad, they said if you say no, you could lose your right and your future generations' right. It's in. You can look it up online. It's
Yes.
still in there.
Okay, so I searched on that one too.
You
So
found-
when I was called,
it's right there.
Minatipo did that presentation at that conference last week. Last week.
Yeah.
They had a form for Aupuni, or they had a discussion about that. A lot of people had a lot of great questions. I did stand up and I addressed that exact concern. I said, I find it disgusting that you would try to start a nation with something that you would say that if you don't sign up by this date, that you waive your right and your children and your descendants' right to
For
participate
everyone.
in the Hawaiian nation.
Can I get a qualifying question on that? Was that part of a disclosure when you signed up?
No, well, yeah, I don't know, but it was in the ad. It's in their own magazine. It's front. It's in the ads.
Yeah,
Straight
so
up.
this is the thing on this. So I'm talking to,
I
when
saved
I'm
it.
stating this, I am talking to Robin Danner, you know, Kanani Olowalu, and what the guy's name, the he's like the lawyer of Nani Aupuni or something, Michael something, I forget his name. But I was talking with, they were the ones on stage when I addressed that, and they both looked at each other, they said, we agree with you, that is disgusting, and we do not support that. And in no way does Kanani Olowalu condone that, and neither does Nani Aupuni. So, when I asked that question, I was like, okay, where is this? So I searched through everybody. It turns out that was an ad that was run for 3 months in the OHA magazine. It was
Yes.
that part in the bottom.
Yeah.
False advertising. There's no legal backing behind it as we have found so far.
There's no what?
No legal binding that you cannot get.
Okay, what Lanakila is saying is partially true, or mostly true. And I'll tell you why. The word Hawaiian shows up in the Hawaiian Home Commission Act 1920, when the United States made up the term Native Hawaiian. And in a way, what they're saying, if you read between the lines, is if you don't sign up, you're not going to be Hawaiian anymore. You're not going to be one of these American Native Hawaiian guys, according to statutory definition. So there are all kinds of tricky stuff that goes on that we can get confused about really easy. And I'm not a really expert either, but these are some of the ideas that, that make me work anyway.
It's racist, because there were Hawaiian nationals at the time of overthrow that were not of Coco.
But I don't want to be an American Native Hawaiian, really.
Right, who does?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Now,
The whole thing is
the
racist.
other part to this that I was able to find out, the actual reason why there's a cutoff at October 15th, where they say you won't be able to sign up after, is because October 15th, Kanani Olowalu is finished. Their money is gone, they're done. So there is no office you can call anymore to sign up on the roll. That's technically why. It's not that they're locking it down and you can never enter. It's that the office is closing. There will be no more Kanani Olowalu after. So, now this is if we want to, if the idea of being locked out is based on the role. So this is, we're just trying to figure out the roots behind these things. So technically, legally, there is no way that we are waiving our rights. There's no legal ramification behind that. So, and that came from
Yes.
even some guys on
Yes.
different levels
Yes.
that was a false advertisement move on OHA to scare people into that. Okay, I see some nodding heads, so what's the info? 'Cause that's what we gotta figure out.
We have to understand, we have to understand that the whole process of the federal recognition of the Honoka'a bill and all its subsequent manners has all been designed to put you as a domestic tribe under United States domestic law. And in doing so, the whole process of doing so is by, they're going to make you a domestic nation, subservient to the United States and all its laws, regardless. Okay? So when you say you don't relinquish all your rights, but the fact that you're going to become a domestic tribe, you are. Because now, today, we may not have control over what our rights grant us, yeah, but we still have that perfect claim. In the Public Law 103-150, it very clearly says that the Hawaiians never directly relinquish their sovereignty or their national lands. So what's happening now is they're having you, under this little pressure thing, go and relinquish your inherent sovereignty and your national lands to become a domestic tribe.
Well, see, that's where it's unclear now. Because again, as we just went back in time, the roles, is it in the language of the Royal Commission, does it say that? Because if not, then there's no legal standing to it. So it's the roles. The role, though, does not mean that you're federally recognized. Federal recognition would be relinquished. If we sign on and agree to federal recognition, that is relinquishing our rights.
It is the process, though.
It's
Yeah,
part of the
because
process.
the Kanai'olawala rules, they're a takeoff of the Dawes rules, which was to round up the Indians and divide up to their territories. That's the whole thing about. In fact, there's 6 volumes of the federal Indian laws. That's like 900 pages of laws that dictate how America deals with Native Americans. So they're not sovereign in any sort of way that we look at it. You know, there are domestic tribes and there's rules and regulations. Like I said, 16 volumes of these laws, including what is your political status as an Indian tribe under state and federal laws. What are your land titles, what are your all things, and trust me, if you go read it, you lose everything by opting to become that.
If we opt for federal
Yes.
recognition.
But
Yes.
it's a process, so reading the Dawes Act, did you have a chance to read that? Because I know I sent it to you.
A bit of it.
It's,
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of work with Native American tribes too, so I'm
the
not be the
Dawes
first
Act
one right there to
explains
tell you.
step by step of what the process is that goes into federal recognition, how you give up your rights, and who is going to do what. Basically, the United States of America, because of what they did in the overthrow, being illegal, this is a big cover-up. They're trying to cover a gaping wound that they know, because they don't have money. They're in debt. They're in debt. And so
China owns us.
Exactly. We owe China. We, as Americans, owe China. So you have to realize that's why they're doing this. That's why they got OHA to grab Lahui and say, okay, we know the 15th is Kanai'olawala's cut. That's when they pop. But why rush into it? There's no reason to rush into it. And this has occurred before. So look at the process before too. And why it was stalled and why it didn't go through. Because of the cover-up. See, once you acknowledge, once you sign, whether you're a delegate or whether we vote, we relinquish and we acknowledge the illegal overthrow becomes legal. In their minds, that's what they see it as. It's just like the Native American Indians who settled on the lands first. Then here comes the whoever saying, oh no, I want that land. So they create in 1920 the Dawes Act, saying, oh yeah, we'll take care of you and you can have this and you can have this. And so it's history repeating itself, but they're covering up this with OHA, Hau'inoa, switching it to Kanai'olawala, which becomes Aupuni, which is what you guys are. So they've drawn you into this and said, okay, 15 is the cutoff date, but why rush into it? There's no rush. If you know, as Hawaiians, we wasn't rushed into it, you know? When you look at the history, when you look at the Kue petition, yeah.
We can get through all of it.
I didn't.
No, that's my
No.
point.
I have a question. If you want to be a sovereign group of people, and you have been under illegal, I mean, the army was done illegal, why are we even following one word you have to follow?
Yes.
Why are we
Yes.
doing that?
Well,
It makes us all
Right.
confused.
Yes.
If you're gonna start a new house, it's like a divorce. It's like a divorce.
It's true.
We just divorce.
Move your house.
In simple words, we divorce you, we are a sovereign nation. Then it's simple, but if you're going through all these laws that are all bullshit, and all kaka, and every word, why are we even listening? I mean,
So-
if you're gonna divorce yourself from something, you divorce yourself. One line cut through, nothing good. If we listen to all this stuff, we'll never move.
I'd just like to point out that from my perspective, and sorry we haven't had a chance to Kukakuka yet, but I have my notes. Aloha, my name is Bruce. From my perspective, we're already there where you say, Auntie, and that is the ku'e. That is the ku'e that was signed then. It is continuing to gather signatures. think I know, we probably never got off the discussion about why are we even looking at that, right? And again, we haven't had a chance to put, but can I give you a piece of paper, you just quickly look it over and see if anything jumps out for this audience? We can talk more later, I guess.
While you're doing that, I wanna tack on with what Halawai was saying. You know, you have all of these international, what they call entrants. And the international arena is going to hear from international recognized bodies. And we've been attempting, many of us been attempting to join the different kinds of bodies that went to their homelands and started that. We put up our fence, we put on our model here, and we went, who is? It was awesome. What we were not prepared for is the resources we did not have. That's what we were not prepared for. And it's really awesome seeing this history repeat itself when I saw this half-bullied naked kid up on the hill, still grumbling with Danny Akako. It was awesome. And I was like, oh, once upon a time there was a couple of us like that in the courthouse.
That reminded him of you,
Yeah, but I wasn't that naked.
Oh.
I was.
He goes, I was.
Yeah, we know.
Everybody knew he was.
So I'm going to share a little bit. So you got where Clarence guys, from when they were doing their part of seeking this thing called justice, yeah, for Hawaii's people. And so I come along because I'm, the next, kind of in between the two over here. So, oh no. I just in between. So, for me, I grew up Lanakila over in Hilo. So all of us were, I lived in a challenged community. And so, growing up, for me, life was abundant. I could go Mauka, Makai, I could go any kind of place. You get lychee, you get wala, you get pulumanako, any kind of place you go. You don't starve. We know what this thing called, what? Poverty. No more. And then, all of a sudden, I graduate high school, I go into the military, I come home, I stop with the sheriffs, I go, how come we still arrest the same people? Now they're children, now they're grandchildren, same cycle. And it's why it's possible. We don't get fixed up on it. So, the problem is this. It's like, you guys ever seen shepherds and then they get sheep? The sheep go, ah, and they follow the shepherd. Yes? So, they get good shepherd and then they get the other kind. So, we get hard time today because there's a lot of other kind of shepherd. And not too much the good kind of shepherd. So that's our problem. Okay? Because we live in a society today where we gotta rely on the paycheck. We gotta rely on one form of exchange. When once upon a time, we could barter. No problem. IOU, was wiki. It was easy. Life was simple. And we make agreement and shake power. So, I'm going to sum it up this way, why I got involved. A lot of my leaders was like Hanale, cool. I saw them in the trenches, you know what I mean? All I did was, I just execute bench warrants. That was what I knew, evictions, that was my profession. And it just got to one day, I told my Dad, these Wahinis girls inside court, they were talking about Kingdom of Hawaii, blah, 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 blah. What is that? And I made copies of all of their pleadings. And they look through and they start reading these papers. And I look at him and he said, reading them. And I go, oh, Dad, you know how to read that foreign language? You stupid kid, sit down. He told me about this story, about this time in Hawaii when our ancestors, they were the healthiest, wealthiest, giving families. And somebody got jealous, envy and come into our country, and lies will get spread. So, I asked him, oh, what are we going to do? He said, well, son, this is our Palapala Sinanui. It's down here at this place called Honoka'a. And I said, what? He says, our land. We will get them back. And I said, yeah, shoot, it's our land. So we went. We met with Pai Ohanas, we met with the Hoopas, we met all kind of Ohana when we go back on their land. When we begin talking about what was important to our people. And I was like, holy sweet. I never know I had all this kind of stuff going on in Hawaii. All I know is everybody I grew up with, my Pupolo friends, my Haole friends, my Portuguese friends, my Japanese friends, my Pakeha friends, those are all my friends, that's all my family. But then all of a sudden somebody tell me, oh no, okay, only ask Kanaka. And I go, oh wow, ask my friends. For me, I don't think that was right back then. I was a young kid. Today, I don't think that right either. Because somebody is telling us, like you said earlier, all these laws lying. Right? So I figure we'll find the truth. Okay? Because I'm a cop. I go talk to I go ask questions. So it goes like this. At the federal level, the federal government is only authorized under this Manchurian case to treat Native people under their territory, under their jurisdictions, as Native Americans. Just this one law, this one case law. Okay? So what they want to do is they want to, all indigenous peoples in all states, they want to treat them equally. Okay? So I was like, okay, that's why they get the Akaku bill. Okay, right on. So I understand, right? Then they have this process with OHA. OHA will do their best to support the federal recognition when failed. So now they have this. For me, for day one, when I heard that we've been crooked, I see that, as a cop, I see the thief. I arrest him. I throw him in jail. I find out, it wasn't Kimo that went to steal the car. It was Moki. So I go to Moki's house. Oh, sure enough, Moki, choke car. Moki, you steal all his cars. Oh, yeah, sorry, Moki. Okay, we go for him. So when we go charge him, Moki get charged for theft. But these other key accessory. So what we get going on is these guys accessory to the crime. But it's only one, me against all the state of Hawaii. So I figured, what process from being in there in which We'll get people that come together with like minds, and we will actually go finish the job. For me, for day one, it was, can I swear me? It's the queen, you know? My honor is with her, you know? So whatever it takes to do that, that's
So I have a question. Why, and this is individual questions for the delegates, why have you chosen to participate? What's your reason, other than what you shared with us tonight? Why do you feel being a delegate and participating? I know I've heard from Lanakila, it's to implode, it's to go against the machine, that machine. But I want to hear, why? Why have you chosen? Not because just your name is on the roll, but why for your personal, from your na'au? Because we all listen to our na'au, and that's how we walk our path in life. Yeah. So why?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's to restore Hawaii justice.
So with that, do you think that's the only way that you feel that justice can happen is to go within something that's not equal in the sense of how it's come,
Well, I'll give an example. I've done it before. In the sheriff's department, I got a court order that says execute forthwith. It's supposed to be forthwith right there and then. But I go ahead and say, that's what happened. You know what? I come back 2 months. See, the thing is, when
do you
you
feel rushed
rush, no.
because of this 15th deadline?
No.
So if you don't get your votes, because there's 100-something people running as delegates, and majority of those.
33 here on Island 4.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, but there's a total of 102.
33 for this island.
Yeah,
Over 200
yeah, close to that.
for the
Okay.
whole.
For the whole thing.
For the whole
But
thing.
just for this island, 33.
And so the 33, have you guys met?
No. It's one,
And have
two,
you-
three, four of
Have
us.
you-
This is the first time.
Yeah, first time we all meeting.
That's how God ever together with
My
anybody.
question is because you're going in with that mindset of wanting to break it and to say, no, be independent, you guys can go, aloha, ho'ohoshi. How come, well, my question is, why rush into it? If you know that you can make a difference in not just, being a delegate, because what if you don't make it in and the rest that are for recognition, for federal recognition, make it in? How already? We as all of us is Lahui here.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
You see where I'm going?
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
looking at the.
Maybe I didn't explain this part of it, okay? This process only applies to those who consent. You get it? So only those people who consented, this role, this process applies. No one else. So if your name is in there and you don't want it in there, pull it out.
Yeah. I
If
understand that.
your name is not in there and you want it in there, put it in.
Okay, you know what, I gotta interrupt. I
But-
wanna
but
go
wait,
back
wait.
on track because
Wait, one more
a lot
thing.
of the things that you're saying right now are questions that he was gonna address that we all gotta understand same time. And we kinda picking and choosing, but I want to go step by step and understand.
Like what you were saying is Lanakila was saying that he wants to go in and he wants to turn you implode. Yeah, that's not why I'm in. Why I'm in is because I understand the process, I understand the clarity, and I understand its purpose. And I'm bringing it into my equation because, like I said, I understand when anybody makes laws, laws are just guides. Because these guides have, until it gets judicially scrutinized, it's just guides.
So to get us back on track a little bit to see, and I can explain it more on my standing here too, is, I'm going to address some of the questions that have been brought up to my attention. So people asking, what is Nati Aupuni? And also people coming at me saying, like, you know, what, 40 people are supposed to decide the future of all our people? No. Nati Aupuni is not a governing body. Nati Aupuni is only a forum. It's just an organized discussion. You represent the 40 delegates, and for me, I don't think the numbers are fair. Like, Lanai Molokai gets one person. I don't think it's possible. I don't agree with the numbers. I don't agree with that very strongly. But for me, I also live in a sense of understanding, yes, a lot of us, as myself, I am a pro-independence person. But I am only a part of a bigger piece of the pie when it comes to Hawaiians. We also need to acknowledge there are a lot of Hawaiians who are America. And we cannot just cut them off. They are Koko Hawaii as well. We have to acknowledge the numbers as well as what we're dealing with. So for me, a lot of us maybe just being outside, I haven't seen a strong enough answer for me not to engage. Because for me, this is now a very recognized body or emotion that's happening right now. It's recognized by the big governments, even because they're pushing their agenda. So in that big forum, it's sounding unanimous, because that's what they're very good at telling the rest of the world, oh no, the Hawaiians want this. The Hawaiians want this. See, look, they have the forum, look, they all wanted it. But if we have in this forum, for me, I just see there are strong voices in there, representing, because again, there's only 99,000 people on the vote, there's more than 500,000 Hawaiians. And if there's these voices in saying, no, this is not Pono, we're not standing by this, then it will go into the record that it was not unanimous that the people wanted this. And that we are fighting for the other 400,000 Hawaiians that are not in the role, that are not part of this process, that have another point of view. So, just a couple things. So again, Nati Aupuni is just a forum. It's not a governing body. What it is, what the 40 delegates would be assigned to do is basically come up with some form of governance. Yeah? We can discuss it. And it is not just federal recognition or independence. It's not just those two options. It is actually what they are doing right now. They've gone and collected constitutions of different governments and bodies all over the world, including looking at our original Hawaiian Constitution, constitutions that are held by other Native American tribes, constitutions of other countries altogether. So we can look at different models of governance. We can look at democracy, we can look at empires, we can look at kingdoms, we can look at everything. Yeah? And that we come up with an idea of governance. Then it has to go back out to the voting body and they vote on it yes or no. I believe if it's no, I think it's dead in the water because there's no more funding after that to go back and do another CONCOM. So
We do have funding for CONCOM.
to continue, so even after 40 days.
Whatever, yeah.
Oh, okay, so there is some more. So technically then,
They're gonna have to issue more money.
yeah. So right now, so if whatever governing path forward is proposed by this body goes out there and the voters don't want it, we have to go back into the process and try something else. So that, I'm not saying I agree with it, I'm just saying that's the process as it is. So I'm getting that because a lot of people were like, you guys are deciding for, we're not deciding nothing. But what we do, what the 10, or I keep saying we, but what the 40 delegates would have power of is control of the form of the CONCON. Right now they've issued a thing that basically the CONCON, the delegates would go into for 2 months straight, 5 days a week, working on for 40 days on coming up with some governmental thing. But technically, as it's been established that the 40 amongst themselves will be able to change the whole process. We can call like right now the whole process. So I've heard some people say that whatever comes out of it has to go to the state legislation and be signed up by the governor.
It's gotta go to the DOI.
If we say so.
No.
We can actually divert it from that because the DOI actually does not have control over the CONCON. It's independent.
Correct.
It's independent of OHA, it's independent of the state. Technically, I'm sure they got their fingers on it somehow, but technically,
Danners.
it's an independent body.
It's a nonprofit organization.
Yeah, and technically that's why the DOI, what they just put out there, isn't the rules for the Aupuni. What they just announced was, should this body sign or want to go for federal recognition, this is the process that we would grant to you. So they are predetermining. So for me, what they're doing, they're also trying to I think there's two ways.
Put your agenda on the table.
They're trying to offer something out there because they know, in one way, that what could be happening is this is truly independent of any governing body. It's up to the 4 delegates to decide. When we talk about federal recognition, we could create our own body and say, but we're going to go to the UN to be recognized. We're not going to ask the United States to recognize us. We're going to ask Timbuktu to recognize us. So that's technically the process as it is. 40 people to represent, 40 people, 40 days, working, and we can change that form too. That was brought up and they said you can totally do it. The 40 people, the 40 delegates decide, we're not going to do 40 days straight like this. We want 1 week to work on it, 1 week to go back to our communities, 1 week to come back. We can change up how we want to do it.
Real quick question. So the 95,000 people who have already signed up for Kanai'oluwalu are the people who will vote for the 40 delegates. But when you folks create whatever it is that comes out of the AHA, then the vote on that comes outside of the 95,000, right?
No.
Only the 95.
Only the people on this island can vote for the 7,
No,
for the
I mean
33
after
years.
that.
For whatever governing
After
and
all that. Once the
document.
AHA is called, you guys have
There's a
something.
ratification process.
Don't they do
Yes or no?
50,000?
Only the
Either
95.
adopted or you
In
reject
the
it.
group that he's talking about getting created, if it's a votership, then it will be voted on. If it turns out to be Halawai,
No, what
Oh,
I'm
what
asking
she's
then that's a
saying-
whole
what she's
nother
saying is totally
category.
different.
is,
She's saying if we don't vote now in Aupuni,
yeah, can
We don't
we
get to
vote
vote.
on
Something, can we
that
vote later?
final thing if I'm not signed
I
up?
think you have, technically as it is now, you have to be on the Kanai'oluwalu vote. That's what
Yeah.
they're talking about.
Yeah.
Basically, you want, before we start the game, you got to sign up to play the game.
Right.
In a
so
nutshell.
we cannot play afterwards in other words.
That's the
Yes.
screwed up thing.
Yeah.
That even,
That's the way
And
it
the
is
delegates
now.
can't change
Yeah.
that.
If we had a majority, and I'm not saying we are going to get a majority, we could
Yeah,
change
can't
the
you
Change
rules.
that, yeah.
Because one of my goals is to have people vote to ratify or not, who are not on their, well,
Payroll.
Kanai'oluwalu
Yeah.
roll.
I still
That's right.
feel like we're bringing the wrong people to the wrong table. You have the following, the 40 people that ultimately get chosen are going to have a hard time correlating all their differing opinions, let me tell you, especially when you get Kauai's concerned and Oahu's concerns and Maui's concerns before even Hawaii is looked at, okay?
But
We have
if we
the number
don't get
of
in there,
people that will sign
lose
on
already.
the programs by the way our culture and artisans are already connected. We have a worldwide grandstand coming down the pike in 2020. Now, who is not aware of the Festival of Pacific Arts? Hawaii needs to be an artisans guild first, all right? We need to establish the South Pacific as a nation to be reckoned with the 99% of the other people, because the only way Hawaiians will get what they want is for the economic beings that be recognize agricultural power. That's what we have, that's what blacks have, that's all the displaced people, all the people
Yeah,
that
but you know
follow
what,
us.
we're dealing with government right now.
Exactly.
That is the economy.
So how we deal
Economy
with it
will
is in the
follow.
context of a larger picture, that's all I'm saying.
there's a lot of different avenues out there, so Carmen, you had a question. Sorry.
So the 90 people that are on Kanai'oluwalu get to vote for the delegates.
Well, to voting delegates, it's only per item. So Hawaii Island votes for Hawaii Island members, but it's out of that night.
Okay. Then you've got the board of trustees or whatever, the guys that formulated this group.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would,
How much power do they have?
None.
None.
For sure, is
They got
that?
none.
It's
somewhere?
should-
not for sure, but we're going to try to make it for sure.
Technically,
Years, I haven't seen the bylaws yet.
Oh, I have it.
What you're saying is, you
It's
guys
online.
do all this stuff, and then they don't even listen to you, just like they do now.
They have no governing body.
Yeah, they have no
I'm
power.
serious.
Yeah,
So
it's good to
I'm
look.
sure they should
Yeah.
have bylaws.
So right now, they're just the people who came up with the problem,
And
with
are
design.
you aware that, I know DOI doesn't have anything to do with this, but they already have started to try to process and make us a tribe.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what they're preparing
We
for.
know
That's
that.
also why there's a rush for this,
They're
because
already
you guys have to
Yeah.
stop
That's the
this.
noise.
I definitely feel that there's a rush
If you
because,
don't hurry up, that's gonna go before you guys get done.
and part of that is, they know that,
Governance, right?
as it's very much what's well stated, is that this opportunity that some see of the federal recognition needs to be done within Obama's administration.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's
Basically,
for one reason.
If
you
they
feel
don't
a
hand
rush.
it off, the Republicans could sell our lands out just like they're doing the Indians in the next term. People understand this is an 8-year cycle going back and forth, and it's not getting done, so it hasn't since the 60s. It isn't now.
Right? That's kind of.
Well, here's my thing
These
too.
are plans.
We gotta get our
Right.
assets out.
Well, for me
But
to,
I took my name off. And
Right.
I didn't do it until you signed up. And I went, oh, he signed me up. I'm on the list now.
so for me, again, get back to Cookie's question, for me more of understanding why I'm going in. I'm looking to go in because for myself, there are ways that we can help to block things. We're not going to be able to get our win. We're not going to I don't feel we'd be able to walk in there and walk out with independence. One thing, honestly, in my heart, we're not ready. We're not set up for it. We need the time to properly set up for that. One thing, so like Uncle, you're talking about, we have this. Who is the entity that has this? Is it the Henry Noahs? Is it the Edmund Silvas? Is it the Atuis? There's so many fractions right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
My hope in the back of what I'm hoping is happening is like sometimes some of us say, oh, mahalo TMT. If it wasn't for TMT coming to the mountain, we wouldn't have this big unification of our people. Hopefully this is a big threat that finally all those guys are going to start working together. Because that's a unified body that will actually be able to garnish the attention that the internet, that the UN will actually listen to. Right now, all the conversations happening in the UN are individuals going up there, or small groups going up there.
Where's the head?
And then they look at you like, well, when you see it, they're discussing like, and who are you people? No one knows who you are. So, but if we actually imagine if all those bodies came together, maybe this is the great opportunity. So myself, if you follow me on Facebook, as much as I'm walking into it, I'm saying, get together, get together. I'm still like pumping out the anti-Aupuni. Because this process, it's a chance that like minds getting in there, it's a chance that we can set things up to block, to protect from things getting pushed through. Again, because if we don't engage, this is a body that, as we were worried about, is backed by the DOI, is all this kind of stuff. If we don't engage, they're the ones who control the eyes of the masses. So if we don't engage and we don't have a strong body in there standing up and saying these other parts, it's going to look unanimous.
There's no radiation.
And they will give all the power to that new body.
That's exactly
Or
what
tribe, right? And I've worked a lot with different Native American tribes, and you can see the difference between when they have established their tribal governments or their tribal councils, and then the people.
The United States knows how to work with 49 states as a union, and managing the natives in that is very much different than a single state that has the capability of raising huge voices beyond its borders.
So for me, I'm going in with the hope of slowing this process, stalling this process. Because one thing for me right off the bat, how can we say that we're representing the Hawaiian community when there's only 99,000 people on the list? We know there's almost 500,000 Hawaiians. So how can we go forward with it? So I mean, I know right now, one thing there hasn't been quite of a meeting of people yet, because we only just find out who the rest of the delegates are. Yeah, besides like the common people that I know around here on this side of the island, I never know who else is running. So now we're starting to reach out. And I know other guys are talking to, and I've actually seen there's kind of a healthy number of pro-independent kind of voices and stuff too. But then again too, I always say we also got to understand open mind, because how much is the population of our people that are conscious of even knowing We have to acknowledge a big portion of our own people don't know this, don't know what's going on. Like I said, I went up there, from the day I got announced, I had like 20 people come and say, hey, what is this Nagi Aupuni? What is Kanaki all about? They didn't even know, and the name's on the list. So there's really, as I say, there's a number of, we have a number of our open mind and conscious and educated people are understanding our history and knowing our rights for independence. We have a population of Hawaiians that are paying attention to some things but have been raised in a very American system, and they're very staunch to protect. And for some of our kupuna, I can understand there's a fear of losing everything, their social security and everything that they've been busting butt for all these years. Yeah, they could lose that and there's just because of not knowing the education, and really we don't have a clear path forward for independence right now. I can't promise them it's all going to be good. I can't say that, but I don't see what we have right now. So, but it's this group, but then there's this group in the middle of our people, and generally people of America and Hawaii, that could give a rat's ass about politics. And not getting involved. America is really well known for being a massive population of people who don't vote. Hawaii, people don't vote. And some of it is because people don't agree with the system, but a lot of it people just don't care. And that is how they really control us. Is that they've developed us into a way that we just don't care. Basically, is that I don't have time to deal with this, and then some people are just so pressured because we got three jobs to keep a roof over our head.
And that's why halal works. Because the people that don't care allow the halal to dictate the policy at the level of the people that do care. So you get the freedom of not caring without having to, put on airs like the people with no culture but all the class.
So, so I know there's a couple different things I've been hearing from different people, ideas and strategies and what to do. For myself, charging into federal recognition is not smart for federal recognition supporters. If I was a federal recognition person looking at the situation, I would still be like, whoa. It's not clear. Don't rush. So if anything, for everybody, that could be a unanimous thing with, or at least if we get the majority within the con of the 40 delegates to say, we're going to cease this project for now because we need to clarify certain things. We could cut the whole con. I know one thing I want to talk about is that the con should not be bound only to the one organization of Kana'i Olomalu. Cannot be bound to that. That's an organization. It's like you can't build a nation out of an organization. So I'm going to be very strong to say whatever our path forward in governance, we need to know that it's going to be, because it's going to influence every single Hawaiian no matter what. But they've only got this one population, which now with our history, why are people not signing up? It's not because they don't believe in nation building, it's because we can't trust the roles because of what they did before. I mean, if it was a pono role, then maybe more people would be willing to sign up. But that's why I honestly came out saying, I'm not telling you to sign up. Because you can't trust, you don't know what they're going to do with your name. So, there's a lot of unclarity. So for myself, I know, that's why why I'm planning on running, is to be able to work with other like minds, to be able to speak there. And for myself, as a pro-independence person, I honestly need to say, one thing, in this game, it is also about presentation. If we want to try, remember too, Hawaiians we are also the minority in our own homeland. We're the minority, so as much as we are going at it right now with all this stuff, we're like this little bit. When you look at the whole population, couldn't even care or not even paying attention to what's happening to the Hawaiians. So we might push some big governing thing for them, but you know what? Who has the numbers? We can say we want our independence and stuff back, and there's 500,000 of us stand up from all different scattered over, but then we got 2 million other people looking at us going, what? You telling me I gotta leave? You telling me I gotta change my business? You gotta do what? So that's why we have a lot of work to do if we're gonna go for that. Because we understand we are not in a world of Hawaiians anymore. It's very mixed. It's It's not just the native people. It's not just the Aboriginal people. But then we have many people who are not Koko Hawaii, who very much would love to see another government. My mama, Irish Scottish, my mama. Every day she's like, I hate this country. And I think one thing, when I'm talking about presentation, for myself, and I've kind of put it out there, as pro-independence as I am, I could not engage for a long time. Why? Because it was ugly. You come to the meetings and all you see is rah, 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 this attitude. If you're trying to convince me that we want to be part and restore our kingdom, and it sounds like this, I always would say, you think our queen would tolerate that kind of talk in her presence? Not really. So we need to make our kingdom beautiful again. Because it's not. Whenever it's spoken of, it's really rah, 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 rah. And I gotta agree. Believe this. I had to agree with Miss Robin Dana on one presentation. Wait, hang on. I know. But she mentioned in the meeting I was observing, she had to say, you know what? Everybody has their own points of view, and not once, or hardly ever do you see maybe pro-federal recognition people saying, F you independence people, or writing all these memes or websites that are just like slashing down at pro-independence people. You don't see that. But yet, from the pro-independence side, you see so much rah, 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 F you, all these horrible signs and stuff. It's like, I was seeing that thinking, that's why I remember when I was young, I didn't go to this stuff. And I realized, oh, damn, that's my side. I am very much for the independence of our nation and our kingdom and everything too. However, I fell in love with knowing and fighting for that because I hear of the beauty of our people. So, I'm not saying that that kind of attitude doesn't have a reason. But honestly, every single one of us cannot say that we live in the kingdom. We do not look and watch the news and listen to our monarchs speak. We are all living on the history written and the stories of our kupuna, and we are all wanting that. But we never actually did it. We cannot ignore it. We are raised in the American lifestyle. So what honestly for me, I'm standing for is the acknowledgement of the governing body that we are stuck under now is not pono. It's not pono with the rights of humanity. It's not pono with the rights of our environment. And it's not just. How can it be just when it is here because it did this to a friendly kingdom? So for me, erase the identities of Hawaiian kingdom or American government and stuff. It's about humans engaging in a better way with each other and in proper balance with our environment again. That's what governance is supposed to be. It's a way that it's rules and policies and stuff to help organize ourselves to address the things that we need done and to help maintain life so we can all live good. But we get so lost in all this other stuff and forget back to the beginning. So for me, coming into this, my stance for independence is because I see the health of my people, my friends, my neighbors suffering. I see the health of my environment, our natural resources being abused. That is why I stand for our independence, to give us an opportunity to make better the laws that we need to live pono on this planet. Now, some people just want to be able to take control of the offices and just put the Hawaiian flag on top of it, but operate the same. It's like, if we're going to operate the same, then why the hell change? We'll just stay under America if we're just going to follow American process. I want to get in there and give an opportunity for our people and our future generations to be able to live in a better lifestyle and offer something else. So, I'm going in to be able to protect our ability, to preserve our ability for that. Before we just get sucked in. And again, I've done a lot of work with Native American tribes. I've been to the reservations, and I don't go there invited by the tribal government, I'll tell you that. Go to the people, and then you can just observe the relationship between the two. Tribal governments and everything, As much as they claim they're sovereign of, within their reservation stuff, they are puppets. And this is coming from a lot of my friends. They just become puppets of the U.S. On the Hopi Reservation, it was the tribal government that sold off or leased out the Black Mesa for them to dig out the mesa. Now there's no water. It's, who said we have the protections under that right? Look what they just did to the Apaches. They just handed off their most sacred lands to an Australian copper mine. So, I think that's one thing too, but it's important that we got to do it in a good way and share the information with our people. So people who are seeing federal recognition, we need to educate them and see that. Our masses that are talking about, let's talk about independence. We need to show them a model of what it could be. So they're going, for justice,
Federal recognition needs to come at the point that we enter the international stage and shake hands with the international players who still control imperialism because capitalism is their game. The United States is their game. They're still playing it.
And for me, that is a very strong reality check that we all got to have. We are no longer that isolated little kingdom in the ocean. We are exposed to the whole world. And our strategic point in the Pacific is the biggest reason why America is not going to leave without a fight. The law of the sea. Whoever controls Hawaii controls the Pacific. For me, observing what's happening, especially on the mountains and stuff, they're trying, this island, as much as it's a sacred place, it's a place of life, it's a place of beauty, it is also has the ability to be transformed to one of the planet's most powerful weapons. And you see America, we're dealing with the biggest bully on the planet. The guys who spend 6 times more in military and weapons than the next 6 countries put together.
Yeah, but Russia's over watch. And China.
Yeah, well, we're
Exactly.
entering a Cold War era, but
Yeah.
that's fine.
Well, Hawaii, could we offer something?
in Syria.
Yeah.
Could we offer something? Because really, we can, like I said, I stand very strong to what our Kupuna said, that one day the world will look to Hawaii to understand what aloha is.
That's right.
Bring them in.
But we need to live that.
Bring in the immigrants.
And so, so we kind of openly and with aloha and with understanding be able to engage on these different levels, but we cannot lose sight of our love for our aina. And that our love for our aina is our love for each other. And we move in that way. And that's why we seek our route for independence again, so we can formulate a better structure, a loving structure to help really take care of our people and this land. But if we're just going to come out with rah-rah-rah of all of the politics and numbers and all this kind of stuff, people are not going to listen. So we also need to acknowledge the bigger pictures that we're going to play a critical role in. So for me, again, engaging for me is to help secure and protect that right. And again, if you don't engage, it's going to run. I fear the beast that would be created without us in there. It'd probably be more stronger than if you have people in there saying, no, no, no. At least it'll come out limping at the best hope. Because if we're not in there, it's going to come out full strong. So my hope is, as we are doing our great work inside, we have the unification of our people outside in a beautiful way, standing up for what we know as pono. And that number outside should be very strong. If you only got 50 or 90,000 on the list, where's the other 400,000? So,
So, if you looked at the 200 some odd names, I'd say a good guess is over 68% is not for total.
Oh, yeah. And
So,
commercial
being-
business and stuff. it also-
saying that, in order for this idea to be a part of the equation, so that's the second reason why I'm here, is to let people know why I'm involved. The second is, we are on pretty much the same page, then we gotta work it collectively. So that we,
Well, better still, get the word out ahead of the game on who's playing which angle on the table so we can all vote the right members in, so there is no mesh, it meshes the moment they get there.
Well, I know if you read everybody's profile, a lot of us are pretty straightforward.
a lot of us.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. It's a couple uncles in too, they're like, we stand for the right and the justice of our people. So people are pretty,
Oahu.
Oahu is the dangerous number. You have half the vote, and that's the business road.
Well, and politicians too, which are the same for us here. Not so much.
Don't forget the civic.
And the civic club.
They're probably a big
What about the
majority.
civic clubs? Because I'm the president of the Hauanio Civic Club.
All of the civics clubs are in, probably on the roll, right? Civics clubs.
We're pushing that every Hawaiian Civic Club member participate, yes.
So,
Well, let's put it this way, the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs is part of the HUI that includes CNHA and SCHHA, which are the so-called bad guys.
So that's more importantly why we have to, like minds, support each other so we're in there.
Anyway,
do you folks feel confident that within that 95,000 that there's going to be enough voters to pull you in?
It's, yeah.
I mean, what do you know about those voters that might be aligned with our point of
okay,
view?
let me tell you a story.
You need to get out.
Four days before the deadline,
Yeah.
I decided to change my strategy and run. To find 10 people to nominate me
Yeah, that's hard.
was a challenge because all my friends are not on the list.
Oh, we gotta get them signed up.
And so, that we need, I feel, the more we have in there, the better chance we have. But let me, as to your question, let me say this. To me, it's like a football game. We got our home field, they got their home field. We happen to be playing on their home field. But if we don't show up, they win. And so the only time we can compete with them is by showing up. And that's why I decided to run. Okay, and I'll give you examples of other times that I have been maybe low, but when we did the contested case in TMT, we had to go into their system and fight them with their rules, and we did, and it looks really good now. I cannot guarantee what the Supreme Court is going to do. This past week, I again went into their courts on Kukakuka Wall. And I'm going to keep on going into their turf and attacking them there. And that's what I'm doing. I cannot say anything about what other people do. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, we
And
don't have Hawaiian
these
courts.
unholy three that I'm sort of talking about without naming particular names is one of the reasons I'm in there again. Because if not, they're going to have their way, and I don't want them to have their way. So,
I think there's an alternate way to do this. And I say that because, you know, when you go and look at the qualifications and how they qualify eligible voters, there's supposed to be this whole screening process. You cannot tell me that all these people were screened. You know, and what I'm trying to say is that there's holes in the process. And what I hear overwhelmingly, no matter what side you're on, what I hear is we don't have enough information and we're being pushed with a deadline. And I think we gotta cut this deadline crap.
Right.
You know, by challenging the structure of how it was put together in the first place. Who said, oh, well, we get 20 voters, delegates? Where did that come from? You know, that kind of stuff. These kind of things, we don't know. And so there's a built-in distrust. And I think that our efforts will be, it's not you either play or you don't play. There's another part inside that says we should just hold the thing at bay until we understand. Because there's nobody here that has enough information to a qualified vote.
To me, that's not mutually
You know?
exclusive either, because at the same rate, while we're in there to stall the vote, sides, and it comes down to a lot of our lovers are out there going, what about us? What about, we've always worked for you, we've always supported you in being able to live our American dream here and then adopting your culture and your ways into the island that America says we can occupy. What about us? Are you going to kick us out of the country? Is our money going to be exchanged for some new monetary form that's more equivalent? You know, when it comes down to what's happening there, OHA was put in place to offer the rebuttal against the United States for doing what they did and give them a way to funnel attention and funds and resources back to us. And this Kana'i Oluwalu, now Nami Aupuni, is just a puppet's task to do a puppet's work. We need to act like we're doing what they want us to there, but at the last minute, really just drop the pants and make the shape and make ourselves appear.
That's why for me, it's like
nobody expects.
we have to secure our defenses at the same time.
Where our-
So seeing the map, so like I totally agree with what Uncle saying. Like, if we can launch how to do it, I don't know. But I see there's that very that very organizing right now. Isn't it Andre them the protest Aupuni group? They're getting strong, which is awesome. So is it a lawsuit that is, or how do we stall it?
There is a lawsuit.
Well, there is
There is a lawsuit.
And so I think right now that one lawsuit,
Grassroots
Yeah,
Institute.
You know what, and,
yeah, right now it doesn't sound good.
well, it makes it very clear, the very first statement that Attorney from Aupuni says, it says that we're illegal because we're organizing an Indian tribe.
What? That was
That's
it?
exactly, that's exactly what they say.
What is the way on paper?
The very first line. This is out of the federal courts now. This is not just some statement. This is stated in the federal courts, why they're legal. And so what I'm saying here, guys, is that
It's not.
I don't pretend to have all the information. I don't think anybody does. And I think that it's to our advantage to understand that we don't have that, but what we do have is a right to say we have a right to more information.
Right.
Because all these things we're talking about all fit into this thing, but it's being jammed down our throats. We don't have a chance to even think about it. And have you ever seen an election run like this? Ever? No.
That's what I was like,
Why are we suddenly burdened with this? And now we're almost fighting each other over a position when it's really, gang, there is really no difference. It just,
Well, they also have the division
well,
of the United States.
they offer, yeah, it's not hard. When you really look at it, it's really not hard. This is an old game. They've been doing this for years and years and years and years.
That's why I was hoping
We're the ones
going
who
in.
are not familiar with it.
Yeah, I was hoping the lawsuit would succeed.
So as I mentioned earlier, the only way the federal government, state government can treat Native people in their territory, their jurisdiction, is try.
That's the terminology.
Try.
But that's only what's precedent. That doesn't mean we can't establish new precedent that there is yet another way to relate to natives because our conditions are nowhere near the same.
Well,
that's the difference.
I'm a fool, right? I'm a fool. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna change it. That's what my
Well,
intention is.
except that the challenge is that what is being suggested now means that we have to go change American Indian law
Right.
based on
Right,
April
because
Fools,
they're the lawyers sitting
all
out there
that kind of stuff.
looking at this.
using their terminologies, and so, from my point of view, we gotta get in there, be able to control the thing, and keep it out of that stuff.
What about creating a court for the new Hawaiian people?
We did that. We did that several times. But
No,
let me, yeah, he did.
Well, the thing is,
Who created it?
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? When you guys talk about the rush, what's the rush? What's the hurry? Okay, so it goes back to like, you know, a lot of the stuff that happened in the 70s, you know, with the airport in Hilo, you know, with Halawai, right? And then it just started, you know, it starts to continue, right? And for me, one of the biggest movement in this whole thing was when Halawai we get some huge numbers. And so the why the rush? Well, for me, I see it that it's been since the 70s. It's been since even before that. A lot of us Pro-Independent. I see them. They're getting involved. However, I also see a lot of not getting involved.
So, well, just to add, because I don't get involved a lot. I'm paid by the Queen, I'm paid not to politics, all right? But I can offer my advice and I'm not on what I see outside. And by the way, whoever's taping, can you please make sure that that gets put out there? I have a job to protect and I'm not allowed to politic. So this is not politicking, this is sharing. Kukakuka, okay?
Okay, let me add to what you just said. Speaking about Kalahuri, there is also a movement on to hijack the Kalahuri roles at this very moment, going on right now.
I'm on that list.
But some of these evil guys are trying to do that. There's a big fight going on, even though Kalahuri is not an active organization. They're trying to figure out who owns the Kalahuri role and how they can take control of it.
So, this whole idea of how this role came, because of the failure of Hauanio wanting people to denial, that's why Act 195 came down. And that's where they allowed these agencies to screen all the Hawaiian registries and throw into denial. Okay? That process right there is called proxy voting. And so I want to share with you something that Honoka'a from this side did in 2003. And this was published, okay? And it says, we got this date, May 31st, 2003, to address the following. To state, give notice, and to register our opposition on the use of proxy voting by any government agency, state or federal, as well as any club, civil or club organization, civil, social, or private, on any matter concerning the development of government bodies of Hawaii. Black's Law Dictionary states the proxy states one who is authorized to act as another.
Is there one? Is there anybody?
Or authorized to vote on the spot, which is what they're doing. They're using your name without your permission to go and say what you're going to do.
Except that we're only doing that to establish constituency and not actually the vote.
Whatever reason we're doing it, it's still proxy voting. And that's what I'm trying to say. The reason I say that is because that whole part of the only legal factor to that says that this is done wrong, because this whole screening process, this whole idea that you can take names from another role without these people's permission, like you said, you didn't even know how to do that. That's proxy voting. They put you on that list, said that you're a qualified job or not. That's proxy voting. That is illegal. And that is a place that we think, that's a place where the whole that goes long enough to get this
You gotta open them.
They have these very wide discussions about where we have to go to people.
Is proxy voting the foundation of the current lawsuit, or is the lawsuit only based on racial discrimination?
Yeah, it's voting on the right to vote. But it's based on right to tie down.
So that's something if we can get, technically, someone would have to file.
Somebody that's deceased,
Right.
and his name is on that list. You know
No
what I mean?
proxy voting in.
Your
My
proxy
father's
voting.
on the list. They're a proxy.
Uncles, cousins,
Yeah.
they
I know, it's great.
Especially if they can't get money.
And his name is on the list.
Yeah.
This is a powerful position to take.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful position. It's a very
How can a dead person vote?
Technically, it's just a list, right? They're not, they're only counting that.
Yeah, so they count, they use a deceased person as a dead count. And that's wrong.
What is the regular, like the US process?
It's the electoral college is the process. You vote people, you vote your
why are we listening to them to determine what we are supposed to do? You know, we cannot be, you know, we keep on thinking that we have to compare ourselves to them, and why? Why do we have to? We're an independent
I don't think that's what's going on. We're not that we're listening to them, but we can acknowledge that they got the big weapon that's coming at us.
That's what we need to do.
So like the one thing is like, I agree totally. It's a matter of, well, in 122 years we haven't got organized yet. So when we say,
It's not surprising, I mean, all the money is being used to do just this. You know, for years we've been trying to get independent money to do the independent side. You know?
How many conspiracy theorists here? Does anybody believe we're following?
oh wait, my phone's still going.
Yeah.
How much time did I flip my own phone off?
You know all that stuff that was in the stamps, snow came down there? But like, what he alluded to is that there are capabilities out there yet. And I tell you, there are quite a few knowledgeable people that know a lot about doing anything with theory to do that.
You understand what I'm saying? I don't know how to do it. But I belong to the Capital One credit card. And of course it's fraud. But just think, we turn our heads around and give it another dimension. A credit card is me. Right? No one else should use it. If each of us had a credibility card that I am me, I am part Hawaiian, and we have other nationalities that might join us, they could come down on our credit card. But that credit card could unite us.
Exactly.
But some business person has to figure out how to do it.
And this is the type of thing Snowden's alluding to. We cannot go and create a bank because it's illegal. We cannot tie knots to hold the feathers on our kahili legally, because the noose is an illegal knot in the United States, all right? And that's the basis of how we tie the feather on. Okay? I know, exactly, but we need to do it by pointing out where they have caused us to stumble in front of the world and tell them what we're doing to stand up.
We would have to do that uniform, together. The thing is, there's no group together. We talk.
So, well, then I have a question for everybody that's pro 100% independent. There's a constitution that already exists. It actually trumps all state and federal laws, correct? Everybody here agrees with that?
Which one you see on?
The constitution, okay, so that already exists. It trumps all federal, state, and county laws. So the deal is, what we have is an existing government with empty seats. Correct? So what we need is to fill those seats. So we need to educate people, and there's already people probably in this room that could fill some of those seats. Right? So from that, though, now you have a unified voice of pro-independent, you have an existing constitutional government, and the seats are full.
Keep in mind,
So you have-
independent are just skeptical.
Wait, so you have, now, what do we have to do to enforce laws? We have to have sheriffs, or police officers, or peace officers. We have to have the courthouse, right?
So let's
And
take options out.
we, the citizens, say, you know, you ask me, do you swear allegiance to President Obama and the United States Constitution, or our Queen and King Kamehameha III? It's constitutional government. For me, pretty easy to answer, right? I wouldn't be living here if I was swearing allegiance to President Obama.
So
And,
here's my thing on the sense of I'm a realist.
yeah,
It's been done.
Yes,
It is. Now, Ching is one of them. A TUI is one of them. I'm saying there's been many options, and we hear people say, we already do that. It's like, you and what, your thousands of people.
Well, but
So the thing is that this is what we need though. Because what happens now, right now, there are 12 different fractions of independence. You got the bumpy kind of headaches, you got these guys, you got all these different groups, and that's the problem. So, technically, like, for myself, I've looked into LHG as lawful Hawaiian government, and looking into their stuff, I see they have a structure, which is nice, because some people don't have a structure. They just, but they have a structure. That's one thing I acknowledge. I don't know all about it, but they have it. And they have gone in and they have elected officials and they do their thing. But here's the thing, reality check. You go tell somebody in Waianae, hey, that's the Prime Minister, who said, what the frick that? Because that's just how reality check. Why? Because they had the right idea. This is exactly what they did. They went ahead, they just formed it, they got the people in the offices. But if you don't have the people to back you, it doesn't do that.
so that.
Technically, I mean, the same as like Keawekane-Stafford.
Yeah.
He went to the UN.
Sometimes.
And why they don't really do it? Because he has no people.
So, but my question is, of these 12 organizations, is it that some are with this constitution, some are with that constitution, so is that the deal?
Somewhat.
One thing, and it's like, no, I inherit chiefs, I don't run.
On the high, to disagreeing on the stories from your grandparents, to disagreeing whether or not Kamehameha unified everybody or just
So let's just use Ho'oponopono.
No, you
Get
know
all
what,
those people together.
you gotta listen, Lanakila and I actually took it upon ourselves to try to bring these 12
No, we're trying to get to the level.
We tried. No, you know what? It worked for a bit there, but then Oha came in and swooped in thinking that they could rescue this. Because we had 6 people out of the 12. So half of them said that, yeah, we'll come and sit at this table, leave our Ohala outside the door, come on your slippers and come sit at this round table. And Lanakila, I went straight to him and I said, okay, you could help me, I'll get this done. Okay? And we had 6 people, 6 key people said, okay, I'll come. I said, okay, if you come, don't bring your garbage with you, please. Because Lanakila and I will facilitate. He might need this. And then all of a sudden, they swooped in and did their thing and everything just got lost in the shuffle. We were halfway there because I came to him and I said, hey Lanakila, what do you think about this? Hey Anthony, you can do it because I know you have this soft touch about you, which is, a gift, right? And so he put it into my hands and I had almost a 7 and 8% there and then here comes Oha. And just blew it. Yeah, it blew and it just, and so it was like, okay, Lanakila, you gotta do what you gotta do. And I always was telling you, you gotta do what you gotta do.
And the other thing too is there actually has been about, I think, 2 other meetings in the past where they tried to bring all those heads of the different independent groups together, and they just went at each other.
Now we're just getting more rapid.
Yeah. So I mean, that's why I see right now what's happening in Aupuni. This might be the one thread that finally lights the fire in everyone's buttons. Drop their egos, a lot of stuff, and God.
Show solidarity.
Yeah.
Show the solidarity.
But that's solidarity.
We do
Some
that.
of it is, like, and it's hard because you have some people in those groups, they've worked their butts to the bone to try and hold on to this stuff. But technically now it's like, all right, can you understand that you need to kind of let some of it go and let this next process take place of, some new things. So it might not be your story, or it might not be your work that's going to be put up there. And
Yeah,
it was
That's
hard.
what they're hoping, everybody participating.
they want the divide and conquer.
I think that's another reason why we push, because they see we're actually getting close together.
Yes.
Fight against each other.
Yes.
Like,
That,
that's why
you're right on. Spot
getting
on.
people together, throw a doodle out the door, and sit down and talk.
Exactly. An event. That's all.
That's what we've been trying to do, get everybody to
And
put their differences aside and get together.
Because you think these 12, just think how powerful that will show everyone here. Like, wow, okay, Marino,
Make them all speak like they
Creole
do it by
Side, whoever else, sitting at this panel saying, we in this together. Oh my God, the chicken's chicken. I'm serious, and that's what
That's
the
the
queen,
biggest problem
that's
we
what
have.
the queen wants. She wants.
Trying to get these guys to come together.
Yeah, see, that's the.
All of them think, we're gonna run this, we're gonna do this, I had a key. Who did you key? Who would vote you? I never vote for you. So we keep telling them, you think I strap on the side. Get together with all these key, all you key guys get together, sit down and talk story.
And that's
the
what I
only way
meant to
this
is
thing will come
restoring
together.
beauty
See,
of working together.
I have a problem with this idea of all these leaders, because these are not, in my book, they're not leaders.
They're not though.
Yeah,
Give them some play on it, and some people will believe them, and let them go.
Here's where I'm coming from. Here's where I'm coming from here. I've been at this for almost 40 years, and we have these conversations over and over again. It's the same people every time, okay? We need to talk about all of us, yeah? And the only place I can see that there's a place that we have to open it up so we have time is to break down the foundation of how they qualify. That will buy us the time to have these big conversations that need to be had. So we can bring in the unions, the teachers and all these kind of people, instead of just the guys who want to fight for independence.
Right.
You know, we have to have that meeting.
Now here's the weird little bomb I'm talking about. That's technically what Aupuni is offering. In a technical form. A forum for Hawaiians to come together and decide a governing way forward. Just looking, technically, Aupuni.
Again, it's again, because they did it with the commission.
So.
They're giving you a time limit though, see, that's the thing.
Yeah, but technically we could extend it. But unfortunately, like Uncle just said, we have to talk about something that includes everybody.
Yeah.
And in our realm of everybody, there are full federal recognition. Our aunties, our uncles, our brothers, a lot of them are a lot of them are military veterans. They fight for America. They don't leave America. So that's for me, you gotta look at all of the reality.
You don't have to leave America.
That's an option, right?
You just have to be the top dog on the deal table. It's for you to decide what type of intercourse you want to have with them. Not
Right. So what does that government look like? Because right now,
It's not.
that's right. In some cases, what we need to have for governing ourselves is a new thing. For me, I'm all about justice. There needs to be the understanding and the realm of making right what was done, the effort that was done. Not just acknowledging, but that's the reinstatement, and then we need to amend and bring ourselves into the 21st century. Women should be able to vote. The old constitutions didn't work.
Dual citizenship may be possible. I have a Canadian partner who has Canadian citizenship and U.S. citizenship before they go.
See, things like that. I see how big of a conversation that is, and really it's on a scale that we need to, it's a scale that we need to have conventions of creating these kind of things. Right now, for me, when you look at a lot of kingdom talk, it's in a little house, it's outside under a tent. It's still, look, I put it out there about talking about Aupuni, how it's Aupuni. So this would be the same thing, even if we make this official, we came here, a group of us dedicated to it, we go out there, people say, what the hell are you? Not the Aupuni, beat us to the punch. Technically, like it says, if Oha was actually visiting everybody, we could have created these forms.
And from
I like to share collective.
I'm sorry, I just have to say, I think my opinion is set up. You guys got to put together. And that's what OHA came to us last year, to get a group together. Okay, so OHA comes and stops you. And the big reason why they chose not to Aupuni is because they all were on the same page.
Right. I think they all got selected out of the different
You
white
guys are all
words.
on the same page too, but it's the page they don't want. Because that's OHA. OHA wants to be part of Hawaii and the United States. But they lose their jobs if they don't.
Yeah, because you give
That's
money.
think it's a priority right now. You folks are running, okay? You gotta get them in office. And I tell you, it's not gonna be easy. Everybody I know took their name off of this. Now, the people that are on the list, like if you sign up for OHA right now, you automatically go on to the list. Automatically, until October 17th, and then that stops. And by the way, in order to be on the list, you have to prove your Hawaiian.
Yeah, I can't
And again, who's doing the proving?
And I'm in Hanai.
Nobody?
I can't
Oha.
Well, you have to.
Oh, the birth certificate, that's Hawaiian.
But what I'm saying is, when you glean registration forms from different groups, like even in Siplex, can you prove to that police that they are all Hawaiians qualified to vote in this
So
election?
you have to bring in the birth certificate.
Yeah, we do here. But not those guys who got gleaned in.
Yeah,
And
no,
this is what I gotta say.
we did here for that.
Yes, the least.
Yeah, but this is the
Couple
whole
other ways to
thing.
do it.
And you know,
And
again,
one of
guys,
them is, you are living on, what I have there is, Hawaiian home visitors are qualified. Canadian school graduates are qualified. But
I'll stop to see that.
so it's not only birth certificate.
But in order to be part of come in there, you have to have Hawaiian too.
Exactly.
So technically, it actually makes sense.
Hawaiian by statute. And they qualify religion.
How do we support them and get them to vote?
Technically, if you see that,
We don't get you guys.
there's
voting.
nothing that totally makes sense.
And I don't want.
If you wanted to, if you're trying to collect a roll to understand how many of the indigenous people there are, tapping into various schools, it's a process because you have to already prove your Hawaiian.
And age goes.
Well, you can do that too.
Yeah, but that's the real 50 day. That's modern.
Well, I mean, a lot of us are
32%.
I mean, without a person.
Okay, what I will say is too, I'm so not a blood quantum person because I think that's the most racist thing in the planet.
Hello.
Genocidal.
That's genocidal. The only other two countries in the world who did things by blood quantum, the other two governments were Nazi Germany and South Africa. Those are the other two governments that ever tried to use blood quantum. All taking the lead of
America.
America.
Yep.
The Americans were the first to start establishing this blood quantum. Why? Because they understand that eventually you can read them out. So, talking blood, I'm not even interested in reading myself. But it's like, and when it comes from me, Kanaka or being Hawaiian has nothing to do with it. I know plenty brown-skinned Kanaka, they act more Howdy than anybody else. They're more foreign acting than anybody. It's about how you live. It's about being part of here. Yeah? So, one thing too, this process technically, here is like one option, or one dream desire moving into nothing else. Because again, the delegates that go in, they get, technically we're creating a form. We could totally, or just as much as they're going to push federal recognition, we can offer a form of government based upon our traditional constitution. So we can offer that, what we talked about, our structure, our traditional governing structure as our governing body.
And so this is why I think it's really important that we have that time to think about it. I have 6 volumes of what we call federal human laws. Okay? Where they define every portion of intercourse you can have between a tribe and the United States government and how they regulate. And it's always you are on the bottom subject to their
Exactly.
That's federal recognition, exactly. And so
But remember, Aupuni is not federal recognition.
it's a process, but it's the same process at least.
It's the same process that we would have to do to become our nation.
And we can change the, when we're in there.
If I could continue on.
Recognition is on the side of those who recognize.
If I could continue on, I mean, most of us are familiar with the 38,000 names that created the Kool-Aid petition. Okay? So we know, we believe that our people were that together, that short a time, to be able to draw 30,000 names to stop the annexation of the world. Okay, I'd like to offer you something that Nakapuna local Keawekane did in 2003. going to read to you a foundation paper that we decided we thought was generic enough to be able to pull our families together and give us enough time to have these very, very difficult conversations. Okay. And by the way, this is important because it was published. And that is, it's called notification by publication. Okay? So it states that Keawekane is the spiritual foundation of the Hawaiian Kingdom. We gathered this day on May 3rd, 2003, in the District of Hilo, to recognize and affirm our traditional and customary role as Kapuna representing the 6 districts of the island of Hawaii. We gathered to protect, promote, and preserve the rights of dominion inherently vested in the Kanaka Maoli people over all matters concerning laws, land, water, air, and occupancy throughout the Hawaiian archipelago. We will following step forward as district representatives comprising Honoka'a in our traditional roles in Aupuni. Further, we pledge our allegiance to the lawful Hawaiian Kingdom, to our beloved Queen Keawekane-Stafford, and to our founding fathers, Kamehameha First, Kamehameha the Third. It is our purpose to join in concert to recognize one another as traditional people and representative districts of Honoka'a for the mutual protection against the onslaught of oppression, destruction, and deceit of the foreign military occupying forces and civilian governments of the United States, the state of Hawaii, its agencies and representatives. It is further stated that the Hawaiian people recognize that we as subjects to the Hawaiian Kingdom cannot accept posthumously an apology to our queen, and therefore we must take the responsibility to continue our legacy of hereby acknowledge all government entities, foreign or domestic, including OHA and HHL, or any other group may not represent the Hawaiian people without notice and express permission on every matter. And it goes on to that part I read earlier, which is we gathered this date, May 31st, 2003, just to address the following. To state we give notice and register our opposition on the use of proxy voting by any government agency, state or federal, as well as any other club or organization, civil, social, or private, on any matter concerning the development of a governing body for the Hawaiian people. Black's Dictionary states that proxy is one who is authorized to have substitute as for another, or one who is authorized to vote another's stock. We forbid any organization from using the names on the membership of their roster, registration list, or any other forms of registration without the consent of each individual. Now, this is the very thing, this is the thing to do. They're going to do this proxy thing, and what I'm saying here is that our computer on this item, back in 2003, obviously, this is 13 years already on the ground. We just need to pick it up and follow through, just like we're trying to do with the Kuwait petition. This is not saying follow the lead, it's saying that we have a right to determine for ourselves what this is going to be.
So how do we use that right now?
For me, the purpose of putting this together was it was to, because we had run into this problem, one item came up with the idea that we're going to somehow govern us out. So we thought it would be best if we just concentrated on our island only and came up with something very generic. Because this piece of paper can be adopted by any other island and say, they can just simply say we incorporate these documents into ours and it becomes just as valid on our island as it is there. And we could sign this thing just saying we're against proxy voting. And that creates enough of a legal challenge that would really break down this whole who qualified vote.
So we use it as a petition?
I'm sorry?
We use it as a petition?
We certainly could. We certainly could.
Just different options.
And so what I'm saying is there are pieces, who and I worked very, very hard to do. It took us years to come up with the language on it.
Now, I know, I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yes, and I say that because, see, this doesn't say yes or no. This is just saying that I have a right to determine for myself, and I can't determine for myself until I have information.
Right.
I can't make a logical conclusion on this. I don't have enough information, and therefore you're reserving that right to have that time. Because no, you're not going to stop an ILP, okay? But what it does, like you said, there's only 99,000 in that voting field. There's over 500,000 Hawaiians. We already got 3/4 not in this, right? And so, when you combine all these little pieces together, it says that that is gonna be a failure, just like Hauanio'a, just like Kana'i'ula. It's gonna be a failure that means that we come back to the table. But we can take the momentum that this has caused, this rumbling. Because right now, we're under such ridiculous terms that we have to go rushing inside. We just got to list of people, who knows who that are? Are any forums? We had any discussion? What are we gonna
First
cover?
one. And I gotta do
What
it.
are we going to cover? Does anybody talk about what we're gonna lose? You know, the ceded lands, remember those?
Well, again, that's what we, again, like you said, that's what we could if we do federation, but that's why I'm trying to here, not Aupuni does not equal federal recognition. It is an avenue for federal recognition to be pushed, but just as much as it is an avenue for independence to be pushed.
Well, again, I remind you what was stated in federal court by the
Right.
attorneys.
By that's what the attorney said
It is legal to
And yeah.
creating an Indian tribe.
As we see, it really comes down to the 40 children. The 40 in the house run the house. Now, it's a matter of that's the game. That's the battle inside. And again, too, if we weren't engaged, that 40 could be stalling federal recs, and they're going to push it.
You know how they have that thing about the crabs in the bucket?
Yep.
The problem is not the crabs, it's the bucket. And when you play in this game, you put yourself in the bucket. That's why you're going to have it all these.
Well, I think we're in a bucket already.
I
think we're
principle, on principle, there's something in the petition thing that we're talking about that really.
I thought I put that reference out.
Right.
That information is
I think it's good how so petition, we could turn that to a petition now, and then it has to be, I'm just thinking, how do we use it?
Yeah,
There's
they're gonna change
There's
that.
petition, there's, a civil suit,
Civil suit?
which is a combination of people like me having family who is deceased, who they're going to proxy in the vote. You know, there's different avenues or choices to halt it, to slow it down.
Right.
All this thing is saying is that we individually have a right to make our own decisions.
Yeah.
And therefore, we have a right to gain that information so we make a correct decision according to that information.
And again, so I know for myself, that's what I would,
With
with me, no, I lost
we cannot allow it to be stuck into a 90-day term.
Well, that's exactly, like I said, the 40 inside, have you been able to change that?
So
So, and that's the only right now that can,
See, that's your hope though, that's your grasp.
well, right now, this is a whole two. We
Yeah.
have to launch it.
It is
Legal
almost,
evidence.
so the legal discussion had in court is to justify the expense of trust funds by all. That's the whole purpose.
And because all
When you look at the contract between this non-profit organization, what was it? Aupuni, right?
Yes.
Aupuni. So when this non-profit organization took the money, you get all the agreements. It's all online. The money is to establish a forum to create a native home government. And it's not funded by the state. It's funded by the non-profit organization.
That is not true. That is not true. And I'll say that's not true because we can say that, oh, it's a subsidizing, but we damn well know that the money comes through the state. It can be in fact trust monies, yes, I agree with that, but it comes through the state and that,
So,
all is a state
Let me
organization.
give you an example.
And they are the sole funding agency.
Give you an example. When
When
we, at Honoka'a, when we get funding for our kids to go to the cultural exchange program, when we got funding, we was not created by the state. Honoka'a is our own non-profit organization. So they gave us the money for our program, and we're not the state.
It doesn't change.
It doesn't change. No, you're not part of the federal government. Your funding source allows you to have funding for your programs.
Because you're a 501c3. So, but still, that's, a 501c3 is to get access to that federal funding dollars.
State
Like
dollars.
your state.
But
State
only
from
at a county level.
city lands.
Only at a county level.
Yeah.
think on a legal note, on a legal terminology, they would say it doesn't affect you because you're not on the roll. The roll, technically, only the people on the roll, technically, is the nation. How
So
they
if you
see
want
what
to
that's
govern
what that is?
the tribe.
That's what they're, I'm thinking, I would play the devil advocate, that's what they would say.
Yes, that's good.
Technically, the devil advocate, we totally understand, yeah, I mean, it's funded, but it's state and stuff, but in the legal language, that's what they would say. Not Aupuni is not a state funded organization, it's something else. That's what they would, right, that's what they would legally say.
That's right.
And that's why I say that the only place that you have any leverage is on the conditions of your qualifications.
Right.
That doesn't mean it's a nation.
I don't know. It's qualifications.
I know, but like, that's, yeah, because the role was what, and he walked on the street, and I know. So it's,
Yeah.
You are not doing it.
yeah, it's not like a presidential election, I don't think they have the same penalty, so.
No.
I wonder if they were law, they have to have environment.
You just look at the,
You look at
you look at the bylaws, and if the bylaws is being violated, then, you know, you may have recourse. But so far, it's going along with the program that it's been structured.
Okay,
Well, you look at the,
Let me
if
add
you look
something.
at how they determine who's qualified.
Lanakila threw in, the thing about blood quantum. In the 1980s, OLA did 2 votes on whether we should have a quote single definition for Hawaiian or not. And 2 times, 80+% of the people, all people, including people living on homesteads, voted to have single definition. One kind of Hawaiian, quantum no matter. One of the things I believe is going to come up in this state, and I believe the clues are there, the decisions will be up to the delegates. But there are people who are trying to get this body of Hawaiians, this nation of Hawaiians, to be only 50% white.
Yeah.
The 50%ers who live on Hawaiian home visas. This is one of the things I believe is going to be on the floor. And this is one of the things I want to resist.
That's definitely coming up, because you see, like, the structure of Hawaiian homes and everything is set. It's geared directly to a federation issue. Like quantum, set land. They turn into
Definition native
reservation.
Hawaiian.
Yeah. They turn into like a reservation land, and just like you see, like the tribal governments now, when they run their own piece of land. Even though before Cheyenne Nation was all of this, they got put into their reservation, and now they squabble and they fight all about this stuff, and they cut people out of the tribes.
all the time.
All the time. They'll drop you out of the tribe. And over there, in the tribal stuff, you cannot just like come in like a Hawaiian cannot just run over to that nation and say, I want to join your nation. No, it's only for their people. And they cut their own people out. So a lot of times they might have like a whole reservation with people that go all around it.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, and then in the case law, Mankichi versus the United States, there's a very clear definition of that you cannot use blood quantum as qualifying factors for any kind of legislation.
We'll say it's legislation.
Yeah.
So on the cocoa
Technically, this is not legislation.
On the cocoa factor, there are
a
a lot of things in determining what the nation is going to look like or what will come out of contact. That I think cocoa representation is required. To know where people stand with respect to independent sovereignty for a culture versus independent sovereignty for a whole bunch of people with money in their pocket or none.
That is very true.
Well,
We are a minority.
You're saying, okay, so help me understand. You're saying that you gotta have Hawaiian blood.
I'm just trying to keep, because I moved to the Big Island from Oahu, the flower children that have figured out that the Queen really saw a hell of a lot more than Polynesian and Hawaiian because of what she did. And what they came to take, they don't know what they got. It's like they're holding a
we stumbled across, oh my God, the Ku'e petition came about. We did something wrong. America did something wrong. The cover-up began with the apology bill. That huge cover-up. And then it continued, okay, we gotta let OHA, we gotta find a group that will come on board, help us with this cover-up. Help us push, because it had already been federally recognized in American Native American, from like 1920. The first tribe started to, federally recognize, organize, and because America wanted more. So because of what happened in the overthrow, they stumbled upon the Ku'e petition, apology bill came, then now this is a huge cover-up because they know they don't have the money, America don't have the money to cover up the 120 plus years that if we show proof, and we get the proof,
We have generations of children who have already been living it, and that's the problem. I went away in '91 to go work for the police department in Washington, which was what my daddy did, to learn all the ins and outs of what goes on in politics, finish my engineering degree, came home and figured, well, I'll just keep things going, and then all of this came up again. This I dealt with in the 70s. I was heartbroken because George Helm and all of them took the spotlight up. I couldn't be a part of that, I was too young. And then they came, they did their thing, and everybody went back and went, oh, we saved the world again. And I'm going, well, what am I going to do now? And I'm back here again. What am I going to do now?
it's almost all happening over again.
But also what I see what they've done is like, well, throw them over, just throw them in the they're going to squabble over it, and then they're just going to squash it anyway.
Exactly.
I know their games. I went to school with Barry.
So that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing with this whole thing.
Exactly.
And I understand how you want to get within and implode and, like.
Well, again, that's not the only game.
No, but that's one of your games. That's one of the games
What?
to get in and say, okay, no,
Strategy.
yeah, you're strategy.
Strategy.
Yeah, you're playing in their, like Uncle said, you're playing in their field.
And simultaneously, we need the outside going too.
And that's why this whole, what Andre guys is doing, because they're reaching out. Oh my God, the masses are coming.
Right.
The masses are coming out of the Ku'ahimis for protests.
But now this is where I worry. Why is again, if that animal within the Aupuni goes unchecked, unchallenged from within, it comes out totally strong. And most likely supported by the United States of America.
Exactly.
Right. And probably
Imagine what that kind of
that was
a
in
is going to be
politics
for our
and
little Kui
But
outside
do you
trying to
see
work.
the predetermined though?
Yeah,
This was predetermined.
we know it.
Oh, this is like
Rail and TNT.
Exactly. It's been preset. The thing is that we have to be engaged.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why in some cases, like I said, we're not going to win federal independence. Because even if we push for that model, they try and cut it off anyway. But for me, if we're not engaging, if we're not showing that there is a push, then they're not acknowledging everybody, the other 400,000 Hawaiians outside. This is internally in the eye, the great eye of Sauron of the United States. They're watching this.
Yeah.
And if they just see a bunch of Federated Hawaiians going for it, then they will not acknowledge, like they've done with the DUI. No, we didn't hear anybody say anything about that.
And then the Obama administration, that's right there, because we know going in.
Right.
Everybody know the democratic system going in, and he's done so much to push and this. And we know already the Republicans going to be in the House, and we don't want to be. I don't want to be a part of that. Oh. I mean, that's a scary thought.
Yeah, and so, but that's where I feel we have to, for me, again, still, I don't see a strong reason not to engage. By not engaging, we give them a clean slate field.
That's why Uncle never removed his name yet, and the kids didn't either.
And it's a hard decision, but for me, that's why I think,
The other day, the federal government is pushing it through.
oh yeah, they're ready to push it. That's why, so imagine if we're not,
It was on the radio the other day.
they're trying to
They sent it in
they have the
already.
money to do it.
It's like the decision was already made by them. It's like how the
DRNR take care of it, the Honolulu.
They
People
were
that
just-
do always the same mechanism together to justify their conclusion.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. If we took
But
everybody
we
where they
got
have
a
their
track,
jobs now,
railroad.
give them a new
We gotta railroad it
something.
as much as we can.
November
They just want
1st,
us to
act in this capacity.
And uniformly, the anti-Aupuni and the masses that are gathering outside of the road, those big numbers gathering outside. Okay, honestly, for me, one of the hardest things is going in here. I'm trying to like total this terminology, and I'm gonna go head to head, deal with these guys, and try and at least block it back a little bit. But at the same time, right now, I got spears coming at me from my own damn people behind. That's the hard part. Before, it's like I'm trying to go here and be a voice to let them know that you're 90,000 Hawaiians. That's not everybody. That there's very strong stance outside of it. And there is quite a big number of people who are pro-independent. It is out there. That's how hopefully we'll get it.
So, you know.
But then we could be saying, as we're talking this, we navigate that eye. Look, yeah, you see the 400,000, or you see the thousands of people outside there too. That's who you are not acknowledging, and that's why we're here saying, don't think this is everybody.
So Bumpy, Brandon, and Z, and Professor Chang put out a video on YouTube. I suggest you guys do the same too. Do a, put it out there that way. And us, like me, I mean, I get 5,000 people following me on Facebook.
Because
I mean,
the
come on.
thing is,
If you guys-
nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
All they hear is, oh, you need a vote to be federal recognized.
Yes.
Yeah, see, that's why for me, why I did this forum. Or why I created this opportunity.
If I voted and say, okay, I want to be there, what they offering us? They haven't said anything. What they going to offer us?
See, because they're going to jump in and say, no, we don't like, no, we don't. That's the plan. That's the idea. Yeah.
What they going to do? Say, okay, you get all this land you put on the lava rocks.
That's
That's what you guys are going to do.
Well, right now, I think what they're pushing for is Hawaiian homeland becomes the reservation.
Yeah.
All the Hawaiian homelands, yeah.
So I mean, that's again.
The land base.
No, not even, you're not going to get to residency status because of.
Well, again, in that forum, that's what they create.
Yeah.
Until what you're saying, I agree with you to a certain point. Okay? But I believe that we should use all our tools. Why can't you do what you do to work with inside, and we still work on the other side and break down the process?
That's what I'm saying.
He's saying.
That's what I'm saying. Don't go spears there. Go help. Yeah, not there. We need everybody has them from inside the beast and outside the beast.
Yeah, so
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, we
and you
know.
can always say, nah, I never agree with you guys. See, I was signing with you a long time ago.
He's just saying exactly what you say.
Yeah.
Instead
That's what we need.
of trying to spear at you, it's like, hey, come on, let's all work together.
That's why we're trying to say, aim for them. We're coming in.
That's why he's saying, how do we use it?
That was a battle tactic. You get your front line coming here. You get the spears behind you throwing high. Not trying to go high over.
Lanakila, I do have a question. Can you recap like how many delegates they need, how many per island, all of that kind of stuff, and then if you guys get in, what is the consensus? And you guys hypothetically make and agree to a constitution. How many people have to vote? 50,000, right? Is to pass whatever you guys create, or
I believe so.
50,000. Do you believe that there's going to be at least 30,000 people voting, even?
You even have that many people.
Yeah.
99,000 people on the list. But
Do
how
you
many
even think
know
that you
they're
guys
on the
will
list?
reach a 50,000
Try to pull up those numbers.
consensus?
How about you just go pull up the numbers here?
Right. Well, if you don't find it, then.
Okay, so just to share if you haven't gotten all the numbers. So, I'm just going to read it off of their page. They need 40 elected delegates are appropriated based on the current geographic distribution of population with the road commissioner's current registry. Please see the delegate candidates. Okay. So Oahu, 20 seats. Hawaii Island, 7 seats. Maui, 3 seats. Hauanio, 2 seats. Molokai Lanai, 1 seat. And out-of-state Hawaiians, 7 seats. Yeah, that is 7. So they go according to population.
No. I think we should go according to what we have to do.
The population of registered. So look at the registered people, where the larger populations are based on.
So the most registered is Oahu.
Oahu.
Most times, that's actually where.
We don't actually know the date.
We don't know the date, we don't know the criteria in which they go.
Exactly.
That's why I'm saying we need
So
to.
it's also, it also becomes challenging.
Yes, it is challenging.
That's the
So we'll
challenge.
set the challenge as we go.
Right. So we need people out there. We gotta launch that to out there. So that uniform group, because all we need is another group, and then it starts to attraction. If that's a uniform group going, share that with Andre about the proxy, about that's something they can throw at them. Yeah.
Here's my observation on Oahu. You know, there's more numbers that's going to favor.
Bedrock.
Actually, another way to look at it is this.
Because they want to be.
Oahu has more,
So bad.
Federac guys, and the islands don't, the mainland does, and you can almost tell how they're gonna vote.
How they gonna vote already?
So what's the total for Neighbor Islands against all the rest, 47 to?
It's 20 to 20.
So
20.
obviously,
2020.
Yeah, Oahu gets half of
Well,
the
including, it includes the continent people.
Oh, no,
7.
so it's 27, because.
No, they're part of it.
20.
So you guys have to educate Oahu
No, I know.
on what they lose if you don't that.
They don't vote for Oahu. They don't vote, that's what you
Lanakila.
Well, you'd be surprised how much powerhouse independent people are.
Yeah. Can you name some of the Oahu delegates that's pro-independent?
Oh gosh, I don't really know it.
I know.
I was just like a Hawaiian studies teacher here in Honoka'a. I can do all this stuff. So that's very new to me.
You don't know off the top of your head.
I know in Oahu.
Auntie Alice Ku'uyulani Noham is pro-independence. Z Aki.
Hinale mo wanawang kalu.
Kumihina.
I don't know that. Tama gusto.
Yes.
Where's it Tony and Brandon and Z?
I'm not sure what
I don't know about Brandon. Maka Ava Ava.
These are only here or all?
We have 13 people out there now.
Oh, nice.
Are they? Do we know?
Do we?
Yeah, you gotta watch where they walk.
But again, for me, it really is about the future of governing ourselves as humans, right? There's something to be said for me. There's another part of me where we have many of our people, and maybe it is a higher percentage that want something else.
let me give you an idea of what we have to do. You lose the right to challenge the right for your moment. Okay? Because it will switch automatically switch under to Indian law. And under Indian law, they determine for you what you can cover.
Only if we vote in that direction. Only if we sign that treaty.
And so again, too, but that's where education is important. But for me, I just also throw out to everybody, it's not just show up to the meetings. We have to be talking to our families. That's key. We need to be talking to our communities. Because if we think we're going to preserve everything in these little meetings or on Facebook, we are not really dealing in reality. There are over 2 million people on these islands. Over 2 million people. And everybody has a stake in it. And so what we decide, as much as we're talking about it being governed or decided by this 99,000 vote or more of the 400,000 vote, there's still another 1.5 million people. They outnumber us. Even if all Hawaiians did band together, then we're still outnumbered. But what we can...
We're outnumbered, but we have all the titles.
Again, look what government we're dealing with. You think they pay attention to titles? Nope. So that's why at some level we have to make sure that we engage in...
I think they pay attention to titles, that's why we don't stop employing on the mountain. Because we have that title.
Where is it? Titles or standing or environmental law.
I mean, 122 years ago, there was something that got in the way, so that when I was born, I didn't have kuleana. How are you going to fix that?
Right. And it comes down to, again, education. Because right now, my biggest thing also is our education system sucks. And it's not just about teaching about our history. It's about teaching us about the land, how it works. When you teach our education, when our children are, the foundation of our children's education is based upon outside of this land philosophy and pictures and everything, there is no understanding of your own environment. So the education has to really come, I mean, again, from the beginning, restoring a kingdom or a nation is not just about freaking government. It's not just about policies. It's about the relationship of people.
And you know, Lanakila, you said so well. What are we really fighting for? The right to malama the land. That's what we're fighting for.
And it takes the respect of people. But if you just only work, that's why I think in the sense of our education, it can't just be only policies and this and laws and this kind of stuff up and down, because most of our people will not listen to that. Or it's in one ear and out the other. But we have to talk to the truth behind why these rules are important. Why we need this governing body to be able to do what is honorable. But if we're just barking rules and policies and regulations, people don't listen. And that's been, for me, next generation coming up here, that was not what caught my attention for the Hawaiian people to be supportive of Hawaiian movement. It was not just a bunch of rules and policies and we get this, we get that. It was knowing about the beauty of my heritage and my homeland. Then when I understood and see what happened to that beauty, this governing body overtook. Well then this is why I need this to restore. Or that we need to create another avenue, because this one is destroying our home. So for me, it comes back down to that root level. Governance is about the relationship of people. And understanding that really the foundation of it is distribution of natural resources. That was the beginning of governance.
And because the Hawaiians never directly relinquished their inherent sovereignty or their national lands, they still have a chance.
Exactly. And so that is now how. But right now, we just need to remind people about the beauty of our land and our culture we had. How did you guys do that? Didn't lose it. We never gave it up. But if we just come in going rah rah rah, and we don't talk about the rest of the story, what is it? So really moving in again for myself and the Aupuni, I think we're gonna have to close this out by waiting those 4:30. But for a lot of us, I think we're all kind of on the same understanding. We're in there in order to slow it down, to stop it, to be able to push and preserve that nothing passes that will relinquish our rights or our sovereignty. And that's our goal in there, and definitely we support and we need everyone getting together outside and continue that but uniform. And I use that word beautiful again. We want to keep talking about our queen. She's our sovereign. She was beautiful in a way that she spoke and she carried herself. And that's something that makes the other nations want to listen. So I think we are in this room on that same understanding important. I ask everyone to continue, go home, talk to your families, talk to your friends, talk to your
Talk to
neighbors.
your ancestors.
Talk to your
Talk to
Aupuni.
your ancestors.
Realign.
They'll tell you. They'll help guide you. They want to guide you.
You know. Because this is what we need. And we need to wake up. So,
You know, one thing about Hawaii is not all about. They use every tool available. Every tool.
so we try and launch them in every single avenue. And there you guys, quit flying spears at your own team on the field.
Exactly.
That's what I know those ceremonies.
I know.
There we go, that's what we're doing.
We're gonna put it.
Or we didn't know about Mr. Dad.
Hi, Dad. What's the story there?
I see that to be a machine.
Mahalo nui loa. I know for myself, I'm going to be putting out, I'm going to try and just continue and encourage more of these community talk stories, other places in the island, and I've been encouraging, amazing, to get people together and just start talking. So, watch Facebook, or the only thing I got to put the word out there, but I'm looking to host more, just to host them and have more talk stories and just all about it. So, mahalo nui loa no kako, no ku'uhawai. Our Hawaii, we do this because we love our Hawaii. And we just want what's best for our Hawaii.